welcome to Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news and stuff from a right-of-centre viewpoint. Three of us tonight. We've got Sam.
Hi.
Jonathan.
Hello.
And I'm Steve. Let's get right up to it. So the first one is the latest patient diagnosed with the coronavirus in England is the first to catch it in the UK. It is unclear whether this was directly or indirectly from someone who recently returned from abroad, England's chief medical officer has said. The man is a resident of Surrey who had not been abroad recently himself. It takes the total number of UK cases to 20 and comes after a British man in his 70s became the first UK citizen to die from the virus. That man who lived abroad had been taken to hospital in Japan after catching coronavirus on a Diamond Princess cruise ship, which was quarantined off the port of Yokohama earlier this month. So we talked about coronavirus before. I mean, any more scared now than you were before, Sam?
I'm just trying to puzzle my way through the first sentence because you're saying the latest patient diagnosed in England is the first to catch it in the UK.
Catch it in the UK. So the other people have got it somewhere else and then came back to the UK. But this guy actually caught it in the UK. They think, because he hasn't been abroad, so he has to have done.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that obviously that was going to happen sooner or later. But that I think they just take that as some sort of escalation. I mean, I know you're cynical about all of this, Jonathan. What do you make of it?
Absolute load of nonsense. Just to set this a bit in context.
No, here comes the notes.
Yeah. Here come the notes.
No, yeah, but you've got to take notes, or otherwise you just, get things wrong. Roughly, every year, 600,000 people die in the UK. Now, what's interesting is that in 2018, there was a sudden jump of 9,000 people in that 1 year. 9,000 extra people died, and nobody even noticed, let alone, got into a tizzy over it.
Well, I'm sure some people know. The people who died noticed.
Well, yes, but I mean, at the end of the day, 9,000 extra people died, and at the moment we've got one guy who happened to be on a tour ship in going around from Japan to China to all the places where these infections are, has died, and he's in his 80s. It's not really the stuff that should cause panic.
I think what's got people scared is that, although you're quite correct, look, the amount of people who die of it's 1 or 2%, depending on which stats you listen to. So that doesn't sound incredibly horrific. It's not massively spread, certainly not over here, but there are countries where they're dealing with quite a big outbreak of it. But I think the point is they're plotting the graphs and they're comparing it to other kind of pandemics that have happened, if you like, and it doesn't look good. The numbers don't look good, and what they're saying is it could just phase out. All these preparations we're doing might work, but if it were to carry on with the sort of graph pattern it's got at the moment, it could become quite a problem. That's what's, I think, got some people worried. I mean, Sam, you'd actually had some sort of like a presentation on this, didn't you, recently?
Yeah, and they were saying basically don't worry about it and everything's going to be fine. And the reason so many Chinese people are dying is because their air quality is so awful in China.
Which means their lungs have already got problems, and so when they get this disease, because what it does is, one of the things it does is it gives you this lung infection that makes it difficult for breathing, and I think people basically die of that.
But then what worries me is, though, when I did have the briefing like a month ago, it was all kind of like nothing's to worry about, but then we've put out information every week. And I'm thinking, why are we putting out information if there's nothing to worry about?
Well, let me give you a bit more information. So according to the Daily Mail, 1 in 10 Britons could end up in hospital with coronavirus, according to NHS officials who are drawing up a battle plan to tackle the deadly outbreak. Under emergency guidelines to be published next week, they say, British Red Cross and St John ambulance workers, as well as military doctors and nurses, will be brought in to help the struggling NHS, The Guardian reports. Now, there's only 20 cases and 1 death. I mean, obviously they've got to treat it as if it's going to be bad because they've got to be prepared. But doesn't this sound like they know something we don't?
Well, I remember one of the things I remember from the briefing is they were saying about it doesn't transmit by sneezing. It is actually from the cough, which is unusual because to actually be able to have such a cough enough to transmit in itself is quite difficult.
It's the water droplets, isn't it?
Yeah, but when you sneeze, obviously more droplets come out further, but it's different with cough, so that's what they found was an interesting thing.
There is some interesting cultural difference between us and
Coughing.
the Chinese living in China, and that is that they have a very strong tendency to gob on the floor, and it's part of their culture, which we would be unacceptable over here, or is regarded as
Oh, I don't know. There's
unacceptable.
plenty of people do that over here as well.
Yeah, but not to the same extent, and that might explain a lot of this.
But it's spread now to countries, hasn't it, outside of China, and some of them have got quite significant outbreaks as well. I mean, I was struck by this this line in the report. It says here, procedures to dispose of corpses will be sped up in a desperate move that would save thousands of lives. Nikki Aiken, Conservative MP for the City of London and Westminster, confirmed that London's Hyde Park would be turned into a morgue if the killer outbreak continues to escalate. I mean, this is either really careless scaremongering of the worst kind, or people are quite concerned and perhaps not showing how concerned they are. Which is it?
I think it's scaremongering. Even when they had, the Spanish flu virus, they didn't sort of resort to that kind of thing. I mean,
I think they did. A lot of people were dying of Spanish flu back when the Spanish flu outbreak happened. I think it was the corpses overwhelmed the ability to get rid of them, didn't? I mean, I'm not a historian, but that's as I understand
I'm not convinced that was the case. But
well, we'll look into that and perhaps talk about it on another one. I mean, what do you think, Sam? What's your verdict on this? Do you think we now ought to be more concerned, or do you still think it's too early days to be too worried and just wash your hands, keep clean, and stay inside if you don't feel well?
Well, there's not really a lot you can do other than do that. What else can you do? I mean, you can be like really paranoid and never leave your house, but
I mean, they're saying. Well, I was in London recently, and then there were people walking around wearing face masks, and I've seen mixed reports on that. Some people saying it helps, other people saying it doesn't. But as I understand it, it does reduce your chance by some, perhaps 30%, 40% or something. It depends on which set of stats you believe, but it certainly doesn't make you immune.
Well, I don't know which part of London you were, because I've literally just come from London, and I was around yesterday.
I was in Leicester Square.
I was in Covent Garden, which
So
is
next to one
it's a
another,
long
yeah.
way from Leicester Square,
Yeah, it's
but
not, it's just down the road.
well, yeah, exactly. It's a few hundred yards. I didn't see anyone wearing a face mask, so.
Well, I wouldn't say there were loads, but we certainly saw a number of people wearing face masks, and they did appear to be Asian in origin. So I'm guessing that those people are more concerned, I'd imagine, because it's talked about more in the news at home, if you like, because they look like tourists. They had cameras and the usual thing,
Yeah.
Well, hard to say. Well, let's move on anyway. So we don't know the truth, and we aren't really making a fair judgment. The next thing is Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson and Carrie Symonds chose February the 29th to announce the biggest news of their relationship yet, that they are engaged to be married and expecting their first child together. And Britons were quick to pick up on the clues in the timing of the big news, with many saying surely the timing of the announcement was to suggest that Carrie, 31, took advantage of the leap year to get
Did
down
you
on
say
one...
31?
31, not 31.
That's going to be like a bit hard.
Took advantage of the leap year to get down on one knee and pop the question to the Prime Minister. In a statement released by Number 10 on Saturday, the couple said their baby is due in early summer and revealed their plans to tie the knot, but did not give any details about the dates. Twitter users were quick to respond with speculation about the nature of the date, with one person saying, "Okay, I'm going to be the first to ask it. Given the date, did Carrie ask Boris?" So what do you think? Did she ask him on the 29th? Did she use her leap year prerogative or not, Sam?
No, I think that she got up the duff and then he thought they better get pregnant. They better get married, sorry. Which is a shame, because it's like a bit of an outdated thing now. You don't have to get married just because you're having a baby.
No, I'm sure that's not true. He's far more modern than that. I don't think he would think he had to get married to
Well, why
someone.
announce both at the same time?
Well, it was the 29th of February. It seems quite likely to me that she thought it would be fun and pop the question to him. What do you think, Jonathan?
I've no idea.
Are you aware that on the 29th of February, tradition says that obviously,
Yes, I knew that,
obviously
yeah.
girls can any time they like ask someone to marry them, but tradition says 29th is the time to do it.
This would explain why I've had about 4 proposals on the walk over here.
I know that, yeah, I knew that about you, Jonathan.
It just these strange women
How many-
waylaying me and saying,
How many of them did you accept?
none actually. Off the record, I'm
You've
married.
always... and you've always been choosy as well, haven't you?
I've been
I mean,
very choosy.
you took a long while to pick your current wife, and you're staying with her, yeah?
Yes.
I'm sure she'll be pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting thing, actually. The tradition which sees women propose to their boyfriends on February the 29th stems from Irish history. The day, which comes around every 4 years, allows females to ask men to dance, or marry them in the to marry them in the olden days. And if a man turned down the offer, he was expected to buy the woman a silk gown. So, basically, why not do it? I mean,
Exactly, yeah.
Well, the problem
No,
is...
what if they say
yeah,
yes if
they-
they're actually that into him?
Damn it, I just wanted the silk gown.
I think the silk gown is a metaphor for wedding gown, and I think a lot of women do just get married for the silk gown.
No, because you've got to buy the silk gown if you say
If he
no.
says no, it's not like I'll say no, but I'll buy you a wedding dress anyway.
It's win-win, yeah.
That's a bit of a real smack in the face, isn't
Yeah.
it? I'm going to say no, and then I'm going to give you a wedding dress to wear that when you don't marry me.
To marry nobody.
Well, I hope they're very happy. It's his 7th child I read on the internet.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit sad that so many people were having a pop because, all right, he's a public figure and he's got to expect some fun to be taken from him. But nevertheless, when somebody gets married and says they're going to get married and have a baby, why would people not just say well done? Well, why not?
Everyone has a pop at anyone. In
Yeah,
public
people
life.
don't like people to be happy, do they?
Mean, do you remember the, sort of Mr. Rees-Mogg being criticised for naming his child? I mean,
I've recently heard that, I forget which Conservative it is that was seen drinking Yorkshire tea, but now all the lefties in the north... Yeah, and all the lefties in the north are saying, oh, that's it now, we're boycotting Yorkshire tea. It's going to hurt them much more. That's great tea right there. You boycott that tea, you're going to be drinking absolute horrible tea from then on.
I just think that... I think people probably don't believe their relationship, do they, I suppose? Because the media's been very much like... He basically was just...
Who, Boris is and the chairman who drinks Yorkshire tea?
No, Carrie. They were saying that they were just having a fall around and then they had that big row and stuff. I think the media's been very keen to try and paint them as like an unhappy couple.
Such a stupid comment. Then what couple doesn't have the occasional row? I mean, everybody has rows.
never had a row.
I think that might not be true, Jonathan. That's about as true. That's about as true a comment as the 4 proposals you got on the way here.
No,
Right, can we have your wife Sue here as a guest on the next podcast, and we can ask her about this?
Possibly not. No, she's busy.
Moving on. A woman has been diagnosed with a never-before-seen condition after doctors discovered she was urinating alcohol without drinking a single drop. The unnamed patient, 61, has become the first person in the world to be diagnosed with urinary autobrewery syndrome, caused by yeast in her bladder that ferments sugar in the urine to produce alcohol.
It sounds like diabetes.
The process is almost exactly the same as one that's been used by beer makers, but it was happening in her own body. At first, medics suspected she may have been hiding an alcohol addiction when urine tests for the drug were repeatedly positive. Kenicha Tanama of the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center Presbyterian Hospital, you can't say that if you had a few drinks, said the woman who has diabetes and liver cirrhosis was recommended for a liver transplant but taken off the donor waiting list and referred for alcohol abuse treatment instead, despite denying ever drinking alcohol. Further blood tests for metabolites of ethanol were negative, meaning the woman did not have alcohol in her blood. So this woman is basically a human brewery. Well, I mean, what do you think of that, Jonathan?
Well, most people are in reality because apparently earwax contains alcohol.
No.
Yeah. Don't recommend it as a drink, but it's nevertheless
Not even as a shot. I mean, that sounds worse than Sambuca.
How is your earwax a liquid and not a solid?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, nevertheless, it contains alcohol.
So what do you make of this woman? Do you think it's true, Sam? Do you think this might be fake news?
It sounds a bit like fake news, but also
It's the name, isn't it? It's the name. It's called urinary autobrewery syndrome. That seems unlikely.
I just wonder what the drink tastes like.
Oh, no! You're taking the pee. Do you see what I did there?
Right, moving on.
Okay, right. Last one here. 2 men were horrified when a dark substance with a horrible smell started dripping down their wall.
Hold on, I think we're being a bit boring today.
No, let me finish this and then you can do that after, because I've started reading it and you can't interrupt it in the middle.
Okay.
AJ McCready tweeted pictures and videos of the stains at his apartment in Minneapolis, Minnesota, saying it smelt horrible recently. He and his flatmate called a maintenance team to investigate. What do you think it turned out to be, Jonathan?
Why ask me?
Well, because you're here and one of the co-presenters of this podcast.
Well, yes, but you obviously know. So
well, I know, yeah, but I don't want to tell you what it is. So these two guys, they're sitting in the flat, they're just sitting there, guys, shooting the breeze, and then they look at the walls and there's this black gunk dripping down the walls that stenches. And they're like, what on earth is that? And they call a maintenance guy who checks into it. What do you think it turned out to be?
There's going to be something dead in their loft, isn't there?
What do you think, Sam?
It's going to be something boring, like mould.
Well, it was actually the blood of their upstairs neighbour, who had died more than a week earlier, who was discovered. The maintenance guy discovered the decomposing body of their neighbour, and authorities say the black tar-like liquid. God, can't get my words out, was bodily fluids that had leaked through the floor and into AJ's flat. He and flatmate Evan Schultz told their Twitter followers about the grim discovery, with AJ saying, "My apartment has smelt horrible recently, and I found out the guy living above me has been dead for over a week. And before you ask, his body was discovered after the blood leaked into the ceiling of our apartment this morning. All I really know of the situation is the man upstairs died in his sleep." So, not something you really want to happen if you're living in a flat, is it? But I suppose freehold and leasehold, this is what you get with a leasehold. What do you think? You just look flabbergasted, Joe.
Well, no, it's just sad, really, isn't it? That people, and people do die on their own, and nobody notices, and they can be there for an awful long time.
What a way to be found as well. So this guy obviously didn't have anyone regularly visiting him, and it's just kind of laid alone in his apartment. Pretty sad way to go, really.
I think that's what's going to happen to me.
Do you? Why?
Yeah. I just think I will. Sit there. My cat will slowly be licking at my corpse, and no one will even care.
This has all got a bit maudlin, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you chose the subject.
Well, your cat will care.
Well, she only cares because she's not getting fed.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to tell you, but when pets are left alone with their dead owners, things don't work out well normally. I'm just saying. But I'm sure you'll be fine, I'm sure. Anyway, what did you want to say, Sam? Do you have something you wanted to add to the podcast?
Well, I just think we haven't really talked about very much today, have we? I mean...
Well, we've talked about coronavirus, Boris Johnson and Carrie Simmons, the woman who's got a brewery in her body,
We've only been talking for 16 minutes. That's nothing.
Well, it's not a race.
I know, but I just think people are going to be like, "Wow, I wasted 16 minutes of my life."
Well, I think they probably say that every time they leave the
That's
podcast.
What about?
And yet they keep coming back because we've got the views.
What about Reddit having the funniest, weirdest, and most profound shower thoughts?
What are you on about?
So the shower isn't just a place to sing. Separated from our cell phones, standing under running water often allows people's minds to run free.
Who's separated from their cell phone in the shower? You just put it next to the shower and have it at full volume.
Reddit means you can't look at it though. Reddit has an entire shower thought subreddit dedicated to the miniature.
Who puts their mobile phone on in the house?
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah, you sound really old now.
Jonathan, you
Boomer.
You've got a phone at home. Switch your phone off. I mean, what's
Can
the
you
Who
point?
has phones at home now?
Pardon?
Nobody still has a home phone, do they? Well, I've got one. But most people don't still have home.
Can I finish this now, please?
Oh, come on then.
Have you
Right.
got a phone at home?
Yeah, but I don't actually know the phone number to it because no one rings me on it.
So why do you have it?
Because it comes with your package,
It's
doesn't
in case
it?
she dies and somebody can be there to let people know.
Anyway, Reddit has an entire shower thought subreddit dedicated to miniature epiphanies you have that highlight the oddities within the familiar. In honour of those weird, wonderful, and sometimes profound musings, here are some of the best from the last week.
Alright, these are the best shower thoughts.
One day we're probably going to have to Google Moon and Google Mars. I don't really understand that.
Google Earth.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, they're saying so we'll be looking at doing Google on the Moon.
And well, looking at the Moon and Mars versions, but I can't see that as particularly groundbreaking.
Technically, your alarm tone is your theme song as it starts every episode of your day. That's a really shit theme song. I really need to change my alarm with that in mind.
I mean,
Carry on.
No one got taught the game where you make races of raindrops running down the car windows, but we all played it anyway. Who played that game? I never played that game.
No.
I know the game they mean, but I don't think we all played it.
Lemons, limes, lemon soda, lime soda, and lemon lime soda all taste completely different.
Not completely different. They all taste a bit citrusy.
Yeah.
They're
You
all
can find
I mean,
some.
Sprite and lemonade aren't massively different.
Right,
are
this
they?
is an interesting one. This is
the interesting question there is: are they all made by Corona?
All right, this is one. You can find someone attractive while not being attracted to them.
That's certainly got us all thinking. You can find someone attractive
Without being attracted to them.
Well, I suppose that depends on.
What do you mean by attraction?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I suppose you can look at someone and think like they're pretty or handsome, but then not be like necessarily attracted to them. I suppose.
Just notice that they are attractive in the conventional sense, whilst thinking, but meh. Yeah, that sounds like something people would say.
So, if fish screamed and cried when on a hook, spear, or a net, the rules of fishing and how they're treated might be a lot different.
Maybe, but I do think fishermen do understand that they're actually catching a live thing. I don't think they are under any illusion that they're catching a kind of a robot.
And what about
there's a
We are
precursor.
surrounded by ancient giants that nobody cares about because they are trees.
But everybody cares about trees. It's all you ever hear about. Don't cut down the trees
Oh,
because don't allow this planning vote thing to go through because there are trees there. Put a tree protection order on this tree even though it's dropping things on people's heads every 5 minutes. Everybody cares about trees.
Okay, what about this one? Dogs are so loyal to their human that if they could use their own computer, they would have their owner as their desktop background. Do you think that's true?
No. I think they'd have their dinner as their desktop background.
Yeah, I think they would as well.
I think the
actually.
conclusion from all this is that too many people are taking too many showers.
I think the conclusion from it is that people
I mean,
don't
the
think
good
about
old days when
people
you had
don't think about
a
much of
bath
interest
and you
in the
had it
shower.
once a fortnight. It is, you know, perhaps we would go back to those days. I mean, if this is what showers are doing to people's brains.
This is why you smell.
Okay, what about this one then?
Am I bothered?
Think about this one then. If chickens are modern time dinosaurs, and plastic is made out of oil, which is made out of dinosaurs, then if you put a dinosaur-shaped chicken nugget in a plastic container, you're storing dinosaur-shaped dinosaurs in other dinosaurs.
And we have been Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news and stuff from a right of centre viewpoint. Say good night, Sam.
No.
Good night, Jonathan.
Oh, thank goodness.
And I'm Steve. Talk to you soon.